Hey guys, welcome to Bookish Islander. My name is Juan. I hope you're all doing very well. Today I'm here to do my TBR for February. Last year I read Death in Venice, the novella by Thomas Mann, and since then I've been wanting to get my hands on anything he wrote. And after asking people who are more familiar with his works and looking around, I decided that I would pursue my Thomas Mann interest with his novel The Magic Mountain. What attracts me to The Magic Mountain is that it seems to be both a Bildungsroman and a parody of a Bildungsroman. And in case you don't know what a Bildungsroman is, let me explain it to you. It's really simple. A Bildungsroman is a novella, or it's a novel or a novella or a short story that deals with the education of one person, how that character becomes educated, has some character development, grows up as well. It's important for a work of literature to be considered a Bildungsroman. It must start with the character as a young age, as a young person or even as a child, and get us at least to their adulthood. So just to give you a very well-known example of a Bildungsroman in English, Jane Eyre. Jane Eyre is one of my all-time favorite books. I know it's divisive, but a lot of people love it, and I think pretty much everyone is familiar with what it is, okay? You don't have to love it to understand it. So in Jane Eyre, you have little Jane at the beginning of the novel, and by the end of the novel, she's older, I'm not going to spoil it to you, but a lot of things have changed. A lot of things have happened to her. So that's what a Bildungsroman is. So apparently, from what I've read, The Magic Mountain, it's both that and a parody of that. So I really cannot wait to read it. In 2019, I started a reading project called The Booker Through the Decades. And that project is really simple. It's about reading every single novel that has ever won the Booker Prize. And the good thing about it is that you can join me, and it's never too late. You can join me for the whole project. You can join me for specific novels. I'm reading them in order, so it's very easy for you to keep up with what I'm reading. And if you want to know what I'm reading, all you need to do is to check out my videos that come out every Saturday. I don't talk about this project in every single video, I just discuss it when it's relevant, okay? So last month, in January, I finished reading A Brief History of Seven Killings by Marlon James, which won the Booker Prize in 2015. So now it's time for me to read the winner of the Booker Prize for 2016, and that's a novel called The Sellout by Paul Beatty. All I know about this novel is that it's a satire of contemporary America, and it's never a bad time to read a good satire about America, okay? And let's not get political here, but I can't wait to read this book. It's actually one of the very few Booker Prize winning novels that I've looked forward to reading. I'm doing this project, and in a way I'm doing it so I get to discover, hopefully, that's the hope. I'll get to discover new authors and new books that I wouldn't otherwise consider it. I'm not doing this because I think the Booker Prize is the standard of literature that I want to hold myself to. Far from it. I know that awards, literary awards in particular, are very political and very controversial. So I'm not interested in that side of things, in exploring that side of things with my project. I'm more inclined to discovering new authors, new novels that are famous, got some buzz, are still around because they won that big award. I'm not going to say prestigious award, but just big award. So I thought it'd be a fun thing to do. It also doesn't take that much time away from reading everything else that I want to read. I just do it when I can. I read them in order, but I can take a break of several weeks between finishing one and starting the next one. But I just thought, The Sellout sounds good, so I'm gonna read it in February and see what I think about it. Next is Broken Glass Park by Alina Bronsky. Now, Alina Bronsky was born in Russia, but she's a German language writer. This was her debut novel. It came out in German in 2008, but it's now available in English translation, so people like me who don't speak German can read it. You may have heard of a readathon that's going on called Read More German Books in 2020, and that is hosted by Mel from Mel's Bookland Adventures and Britta Bowler. I'm not really reading this book as part of the readathon. The funny thing was that already late last year I had decided to read more books in German this year in 2020 because I read a few books in German and I loved them, and I thought, well, this is a literary tradition that I know very little about. I've never studied it. I've only read a handful of books that were originally written in German, and the books that I have read I've really liked. I don't know what is it about them. Maybe it's just a coincidence that I've read really good ones or ones that would really speak to me. But the fact of the matter is that, I have some kind of infatuation with German books at the moment. And then my friends Mel and Britta Bowler launched this wonderful readathon. So I'm not really taking part of it, but I'm accidentally. Anyway, I'm going to link to their announcement videos for the marathon in the show notes, so you can go check out this readathon if you want to join. It's never too late. It's a year-long readathon, as I understand it, and there are different levels, and you can commit to just reading a handful of books in German or lots of books in German. They have a group on Goodreads. Groups on Goodreads are not my thing, not because of anything personal to Mel or Britta. I just don't like groups on Goodreads because I think Goodreads is a really bad website/application. I'm still on it. You can check out my Goodreads and become my friend on it if you like, and I'd love for you to do that. But yeah, I get invited to all these groups and I joined, but then it's never intuitive, so I end up forgetting to participate and comment and all that kind of thing. But if you like Goodreads and you like Goodreads groups and that kind of thing works for you, then go check out their announcement videos because you might want to join their readathon for 2020. An author that I know very little about and I have never read anything by is Edna O'Brien. This Irish author has been on my radar for the longest time, and I've been meaning to read her novels and short stories for the longest time. However, for some reason or another, I haven't been able to. She launched a novel last year called Girl, and I thought, well, why not? I'm going to read it in February, see how I feel about it, and I may go down an O'Brien and Edna O'Brien rabbit hole, or maybe not, I don't know, but I thought her latest novel would be a good place for me to start. Brian got inspired by something that actually happened in real life back in 2014, and you may remember this from the news. In 2014, a group of schoolgirls in Nigeria were kidnapped by a jihadist group called Boko Haram. It really made the news worldwide, so I'd be surprised if you don't remember that. I do remember it. It was very painful. It was actually horrible. And she's taken that as inspiration for this novel, so I'm kind of intrigued by that, want to see what she does with it. I'm a little bit nervous about it, to be honest. I don't necessarily enjoy novels that are based on real life or on, real and newsworthy events. But there's only way to find out if this works, and that is reading this book. Next I have Mejor tu ausencia by Edurne Portela. This is a Basque novel written in Spanish. I also went down a kind of Basque country rabbit hole late last year / early in 2020. This is ongoing for me. This is going to be a buddy read. This novel, apparently, it's also a Bildungsroman, and I've already explained what that is early in this video, so I'm not going to do that. Just in case you fast forwarded to this bit, go back if you want to hear my definition of a Bildungsroman. I'm not going to explain that again. So in this case, the girl protagonist, who then becomes a woman, lives in working class Bilbao. The novel is set in the 1890s and 1980s, possibly as well, and I really cannot wait to pick up this book and read it finally in February. I bought it a couple of months ago and I've been dying to read it ever since. All the Pretty Horses by Cormac McCarthy is the first novel in his Border Trilogy, and now that everybody keeps talking about the US-Mexico border, there are so many novels about it, some of them quite controversial. I really wanted to read something about the border that was published a while ago when there wasn't all this hysteria around it and about deportations and about the wall and all of that nonsense. So I decided to go back to this book that was first published in 1992. I haven't read any Cormac McCarthy before. Actually, that's not true. I read The Road many years ago, I think when it first came out, and really liked it. But it was so long ago that I don't remember much about it. I just remember that I liked it, and I'll probably go back to it and reread it at some point, maybe later this year. But with Cormac McCarthy, I thought it'd be a good idea to read the Border Trilogy, because from what I've heard, that's some of his best writing, and it contains everything that Cormac McCarthy's fans love about his writing. Now, this may be a little frustrating for you, so I apologize in advance. Although I'm about to say that I'm a judge for the Booker Prize this year, of course I'm not. I'm actually a judge for the BookTube Prize. I'm a judge for the Booker Prize this year, the Booker Prize 2020. The Booker Prize started last year. I wasn't part of that. I'm being part of this. I'm judging at least the first round, and I've signed up for other rounds, but I honestly don't remember which ones, but I'm definitely judging the first round that it's going on right now. So I was assigned a group of books that I need to read, same as the other judges, but each judge got a different group. There are all the long list, the fiction long list. Of course, I am judging fiction. The fiction long list was divided into several groups. So I was assigned one of those groups, and I have to read the books on that group before the end of March, I believe. The problem is that I cannot talk to you about those books. I'm already reading them, and I could tell you which ones they are, but I can't give any indication of whether I'm enjoying them or not, or what I think about them. And that is, I think, designed so that I don't influence other judges, so that judges don't influence each other. And because my face is kind of expressive, I think, and you know, I'm a terrible liar, I've decided not to even mention any of those books on my channel. So, I mean, it's if you dig deep, you'll be able to see which books I am reading, but you'll only see them in writing on like Goodreads or Twitter or something, but I won't say anything about them. Of course, if I read them, I'm not gonna, well, I have to read them, but when I read them, I'm not gonna give them a star rating at all on Goodreads until the embargo has been lifted, because I've been sworn to secrecy. So yeah, I'm also reading a couple of other books, a few other books, but I'm not gonna mention them here, so I'm sorry about that. When the embargo is lifted, I'll come back here and put them on a wrap-up or a recent reads video or something, and I will talk to them in a lot of detail. So this is my February TBR. These are the books that I'm gonna prioritize in February. It doesn't mean that I will just stick to these books. I'll probably read others because I'm a mood reader, what can I say? However, you know, I intend to read these books in February. Not sure if I'll finish them all in February, that's another question, but I'll start them this month. I know that we're already well into February. By the time you watch this video, I might have already started to read some of those books, and if you follow me on Goodreads, then you'll know exactly what books I'm reading and so on, and I encourage you to follow me on Goodreads if you do use it. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, Bookish Islander, yet, please consider to do so if you've liked what you've seen. I put up videos every week in which I talk about literary fiction, classic literary fiction, contemporary literary fiction, and sometimes even new releases, although that's not my main goal. I read mostly in English, but I also read books in Spanish, in French, in Catalan, and in Portuguese, and of course in translation as well. So you'll always get a wide variety of books that I discuss on my channel, and the best way for you to not miss out on any of those discussions is to subscribe to my channel right now. And of course, let me know what books you want to read in February. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you again very soon. Bye bye.